Hey everybody, this is Cad Roll Hunter, and wouldn't you say it's about time to hunt us some nickels? I got a whole box here, stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel Cad Roll Hunter, and I've got a full box, 50 rolls. Each roll has 40 nickels. These are custom wrapped Canadian nickels. We're looking for anything old. There could even be a silver nickel in here. The Mint produces silver nickels. I've never found one. You never know. I know people who have. Don't forget, we're also trying to fill up our beautiful LIghthouse Vista Canadian 5-cent album, and we still have some spots to fill. In the early years, we could use a 38. We could use some King George V, of course, even into the 40s and 50s. So we want to find some oldies to fill up the album. Let's dig in and see what we can find. All right, there's our first roll of nickels ready to be hunted. I really love nickels because they probably give us our best opportunity to find old stuff. You never know what you're going to find here. King George VI, maybe even a King George V. I found a couple of them. We've got our nickel cup here because anything from 1981 and earlier is made of 100% pure nickel. And that's probably worth about 3 times face value. So I hold on to it just for the metal content. You never know, if nickel skyrockets in price, it might trade much like silver does. For now, I'm just going to fill up the cup and I'm going to hold on to the nickel. You just never know. Think about it just like the early days of silver. When silver started getting a little bit above face value, people started to do the same thing. They probably wouldn't have expected that silver would be going for over 20 times face value. So anyway, here we are with the nickel cup. I'm going to look in here and see what we got. So in that first roll, there is a 1996, and this gives us an opportunity to scope it and look for a couple of varieties. This one is the 1996 near 6, and what we're looking at is the 6 and how close it is to the D. This is the easier to find one. The harder to find one is the far 6. That 6 is just a little bit further down. There's more space between the 6 and the D. You can even find the attached 6, which I found and I highlighted in a recent video because I had just gotten that graded and authenticated, and that's where there's a die chip between the 6 and the D. That version also has a major die clash where above the beaver you can see the Queen's jewels all above the beaver. There seem to be some marks on this one here. It's could very well be a bit of a die clash. If I want to see for sure, what I'll do is flip this over and see if there's any evidence on the other side of the beaver. You might see that on either side of the Queen, and I don't really see it. It might just be some chatter or some circulation wear. I'm going to have to take a closer look, but I can see some markings above here. But sometimes the eyes play tricks on you. If it was the real crown on beaver die clash, it might be far more evident. I'll take a closer look and I'll let you know what I think. So I've taken a closer look and I don't really see anything there, but you know what? In hand, this is not a bad looking coin. And just a quick observation that after our first roll, we are going to be short 1 nickel on that last pile. Only has 9. So we're starting a little bit behind where we want to be, that's for sure. Second roll, first coin, and it is a 2005 commemorative. This is a V nickel or a victory nickel, very much like the ones from World War II. Beautiful coin. It looks to be pretty much in uncirculated condition. What is really remarkable is that I think we've got an entire roll of these. And it looks to be that way. I'll have to look through and see these ones here that are facing the other way. They certainly are. I think this might be like a mint roll that somebody's opened and just wrapped back up in this wrapper. They appear to all be these. I think I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to put them in a tube for now. I'll just check and make sure they're all uncirculated. These don't carry a tremendous premium necessarily, but if they were graded in an MS65, they'd be $15 coins, and an MS66 a $30 coin. So it might be worth my while to look through and see if there's anything really remarkable in here. What that means, of course, is that we don't know what else is in here. Is this somebody's collection dump? Are we going to get other rolls that are interesting? We'll hope so. All right, so we are 7 rolls in. I've just got the 8th roll here, and so far nothing for the board and nothing for the cup. I'm starting to see the telltale signs that these may have been hunted by another coin roll hunter. There is some Sharpie, some black marker on the edge of this. It hasn't been on all the rolls, but if I look in here, I can see a couple of others. There's one for sure. I thought I saw another one that might have had some marks on it. Yeah, something. So we might have a dud box here. The one thing that's very strange is that we got one full roll of what might be Mint State 2005 commemoratives. Well, I'm going to keep on going on through here, and hopefully there's something. I don't know what if this whole box has been hunted. Who knows? We'll find out, but I'm a trooper, so I'm going to keep on keeping on here. So that box was an absolute bust. Nothing for the nickel cup. Totally empty. Nothing on the board. The only curious thing was finding this roll of 2005s. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I found that most of these have been marked. You can see clearly there. Many of them were fairly subtle, so I didn't see it just by glancing at the top. Well, I guess this is going to have to turn into a 2-box hunt, so as soon as I can find another box to hunt, and I might even have one in the closet, I'm going to have to take a peek. We'll be back for our 2-box hunt. Okay, well, I am back. I finally got more nickels. I've got a full box here. This one looks better already. If you look at it, I can already see we're going to have some copper for the copper cup, so that's a better start altogether. There's another older end. And there are a few rolls here that are a little taller than the rest, so there might be a few extra coins in there. What I'm hoping we might find in here is a King Charles III. I've heard of other coin roll hunters finding them in the wild. They'd be pretty low mintage if they're 2023s, so we'll see what we've got. Let's get into this box and see if we can do any better than we did in that last one. We would have to. Roll number 52 of this 2-box hunt, and there we have our first foreign for the board. It's a 2016 P from the States, and it won't be the only foreign because I see another one just a little ways back. This one is a 1998 Philadelphia. 2 Americans, 2 coins for the board. We're already looking up. Same roll, and there's an oldie for the nickel cup. It's a 1965. We'll just check it really quickly to see if it is the really hard to find large bead. So it's just the average small bead. What we're looking for are the beads above the 2 here. We'd see a large bead in the center. That would be exceptionally rare. This is just a common one, and it's going in the nickel cup. Roll number 5 of this second box, and we're actually going to have our first real find for the board. It's a 2000, but when I flip it over, it's got that P composition mark. It's low mint. It's under 5 million minted. That's a 2000 P that is nickel-plated steel. The mint was trying new compositions around that time, and this was that year that they started introducing them, but in pretty low quantities. So we actually have a low mintage coin for the board. So we're already in roll number 14 of this box. It hasn't been tremendously eventful, but we have had a fair amount of nickel, and that's good. But when I laid down this roll, I saw an American Ender, but it looks like there's going to be a bunch of American nickels in this roll, which isn't unusual here in Canada. If I find anything old, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'm going to stack them up over there, and I got a buddy who will buy them from me, well, trade me all of my American stuff for any of the silver that he finds. It's a good deal for both of us. Just in that roll, we found a 1990. I'm always looking for my favorite variety, the bare belly. Here it is under the scope, that 1990. But when we look at the belly of the beaver, we see all the fur that we would normally expect to see. We don't see any of that over-polished dye, but you always want to look out for the bare belly. It is a very cool variety. Partway through roll number 14, and we found an interesting minor error. This is a misaligned die, perhaps a misaligned collar. It's characterized by a much thicker border on one side than on the other side. I'll throw it under the scope and I'll show it to you. And I've got some examples from Coins in Canada website where we can see this is the kind of error that we've got. So here it is, it's a 1975, and I want you to look at how much of a rim there is here. It's almost like there's sort of 2 rims, and then we've got the denticles along the border. But if I look at the top, the opposite of this coin, have a look and see that those denticles are right at the very top of the coin. There's no rim around it. If we just look as we rotate around, you'll see how much thicker it gets towards the bottom, and it's nearly doubled there. And the same effect all the way across to the top. Really interesting. I don't know that this is valuable at all. If we look at the other side of the coin, it doesn't have that same issue. A little bit thinner, maybe not quite. It's fairly uniform all the way across, a little thicker on the top, but it's very pronounced here where there's hardly any rim at all, and then a much thicker rim. So that's actually really cool. I don't really find these very often. Here's an example from the Coins in Canada website. It's a 1974, and you can see much the same thing. They're pointing out how much thicker the rim is here than it is over there at the opposite side. And that's exactly what we've got. Roll 15, I've got a 1996 under the scope. It's not in great shape. It shows lots of die deterioration. You can kind of see around the numbers here. It almost looks like doubling, but it's just die deterioration. This is the far 6. The 6 is far from the D. And in that same roll, we're going to get our first laureate portrait find for this hunt. We're in our second box already, and it's going to be a 1963, and I'll flip it over, and there she is. That is the laureate portrait. It's got a pretty nice scratch right across the obverse there, but that is our first laureate portrait, 1963, for the board. Roll 24, and this is still turning out to be a pretty light box. We've got another American. This is going to be our 7th American, maybe the 8th. Yeah, our 8th American, and it's just going to be something from the 80s. Nothing special. We'll keep on going here. Roll number 28, and we're going to get a bunny nickel. This is a 100-year Centennial of Confederation, 1967. There you have it. It's seen better days for sure, but that's a cool find in 2024 for sure. Roll 29, we've got another Confederation commemorative here. This one's a little bit newer. It's pretty bright and shiny. It's in fact 50 years newer. This is a 2017, and I flip it over after I drop it. And you can see it still has the beaver on it, but it is a very different stylized beaver than you'd see on the regular nickel. It's from 2017. And check that out. It's a beautiful coin. And this one's in pretty good condition too. Roll number 30. This is going to be our 11th US nickel. It's a 1971 out of Denver. Same roll. There's our second laureate portrait. We know it's going to be a 1963 or a 1964 because it has the round rim. Let's see. It is a 1964. And this is one we'd want to check for the extra waterline. We'll put this up on the big screen for just a second here. And there it is. What we're always looking for is that die crack that extends across the designer's initials towards the rim here. And it looks like an extra water line. We don't have that. You want to check every 1964. I have found a couple. They are out there, and they're a great coin to find. We're in roll number 34, and we're going to get our oldest Canadian coin so far. And I can tell that because I see a 12-sided edge. So that would be from 1962 or earlier. It could be a Queen Elizabeth. It could be a King George VI. The only way we're going to find out is if I lay it down and pull it out, and we can see that edge right there. And it is going to be, well, the newest of the possibilities. It's a 1962, so it's a laureate portrait. That is our oldest of the hunt so far. And how about that in the same roll? We're going to get our oldest foreign. It's a US, and it's a 1963. That's pretty cool. We'll flip it over, and we'll see it doesn't have any mint marks on it. It is from Philadelphia. Very cool. 1963 Jefferson nickel. Roll number 36 is going to give us another oldie, and I can see that because when I laid it down, there's another 12-sided edge, so we'll see what that is. And it's going to be a 1960. So still in the 60s, we haven't gotten anything yet in the 50s. It's going to be another laureate portrait, but that is our 4th laureate portrait for the hunt. So things are speeding up a little bit, and that's great. So roll number 36 is going to be the first of these 3 here that appear to be a little bit taller than the rest. Now these ones are going to appear a little bit lower because of the way the cardboard is on the bottom, but it's quite a bit taller than the one right beside it. And I think there might be 2 or 3 extra nickels. And I'm just curious. It doesn't really matter so much. I mean, we'd be up or probably down as a whole because I think a couple of these have been shorted. But I'm curious to know if these just somehow got overstuffed, or maybe there's something else that's been shoved in here, or maybe it's just the roll itself is just really thick at the bottom. Well, I'll pull them out and count them up and we'll find out. Well, we have our answer. There are 43 nickels in a roll that should have 40. So we're up 15 cents on that, and looks like we're going to be up 45 cents probably across those 3 rolls. That's pretty cool. Of course, that doesn't matter so much. What we want to find out is if we got anything cool and old or valuable in here. We'll see. Well, aside from one older nickel-composed nickel that went in the nickel cup, this is just a pile of regular old nickels that are just going to go back in the roll. And, well, we'll keep on keeping on. Roll number 40, we are 80% through this box, 90% through this hunt, and we're going to have a pretty trashy coin here. Check this out. It is bent and misshapen. This has definitely seen better days. And it's only a 2009, so somebody has abused this one for sure. Well, I'm going to see if I can stuff it back into a roll and send it back to the bank. Not worth keeping, that's for sure. Roll number 41, and this roll is going to give us our 5th laureate portrait of the hunt. Let's flip it over and see what we got. It is a 1964. Once again, no extra waterline, but our second 1964 in the box. I just laid down roll number 42, and I see a couple of edges that I think are interesting. Well, there's a 12-sided edge there, so we know we've got an oldie. And then this one right here looks like it's got an older font on the edge, and it is. It's going to be a laureate portrait. There we see Queen Elizabeth II circulated coin, and it is another 1964. And then we'll take a look at this one. This could be maybe our oldest one. It's another Elizabeth, and flip it over, and it's just another 1962. But we got 2 in one roll, and that is great. Roll 45, I got a 2000 here. When I flipped it over, I could see that P composition mark. This is our second low mintage 2000p multiply plated steel. That's a very cool find. Roll number 46 has a pretty nice looking, maybe 60s, 70s, or 80s Queen Elizabeth coin, but when I flip it over, it's got something on it. It almost looks like concrete or something. I'm not sure. So we can't even see what the date is. I mean, it's not going to be a keeper with that on, that's for sure, but I'll see if I can chip that stuff off without damaging the coin and see what we might have in here. So I was able to use my thumbnail and a little bit of water to get most of that debris off. It's a 1973. It would have been a nice one. Probably not an upgrader in the album, but I've cleaned it up enough just to get it into the nickel cups. So it's not a 1970 key date or anything like that. So we're just going to put it to rest in the nickel cup. Roll number 47 is another one of those overstuffed rolls, and it's going to have at least a couple of finds because I can see at least 2 12-sided edges here. Who knows, maybe more. I'm going to lay it down and we'll take a peek and see what might be in here. So I've just been going through this roll in order. We've had a couple of contributions to the nickel cup, but we're at our first find here. And it's a really nice looking 1962. That's a beauty for sure. Much better than the average, absolutely. We'll take that all day. And we may as well just see what else we got going on here. Some newer stuff here. Our second one is going to be a 1960, more circulated. Well, I never really expect to get rich quick off of coin roll hunting, or maybe even slowly, but it certainly doesn't hurt when somebody puts a dime in a nickel roll. So we're going to be up 5 cents on this one. We'll throw that down. We're going to take a peek and see what we got. It doesn't look silver, but it's still a dime in a nickel roll. And it's an older one. It's going to be from the 80s. Oh, 70s. 1974. That's cool. We got a dime in our nickel roll. We're up. We are in the very last roll. We've got our 21st US nickel. It's from the 90s. Nothing special. I'll see if there's anything else in the rest of this roll, and then I'll give you a little bit of a wrap-up of everything that we found in our 2-box hunt. So we've concluded that 2-box hunt. Things were looking pretty bleak after that first roll, but this second box salvaged it. It wasn't an incredible hunt by any stretch, but it was probably, well, a fair bit better than that first box. We actually did really well, about half a cup in the nickel cup. That's actually better than average. So we got a lot of older stuff, just not anything really old. We did find some foreign coins. We got 21 US. That's probably par for the course in a box of nickels for me. And in the unexpected finds, we did find a Canadian dime. So we're up 5 cents. That's great. A couple of interesting commemoratives. We got a 1967 bunny nickel. That's great. And another Confederation commemorative. This one, the 2017. This one features a beaver on it, just a bit different than the beaver we normally see. And we did get 2 of the low mintage 2000p. That's the multiply plated steel as they were transitioning the composition. So we did find some older nickels, but nothing from the 50s or before, only from the 60s. A couple 1960, a few 1962, a 63, and a couple 64s. No extra waterline. Actually, that's going to be 3 64s. But I think the find of the hunt is this 1975 with a misaligned die. And you can see the rim on the one side is significantly deeper than it is at the top. Almost no rim at all at the top. I don't think this coin has any significant value necessarily, but I'm going to flip it up and put it in my collection because it is still a cool find. It's not something I come across very often, and you could see it with the naked eye that there was something going on with this coin. Just a minor error or variety, but something cool that we found in the hunt. And of course, our first box wasn't completely without finds. Everything had been hunted and everything had been marked with this line. But this particular roll was a full roll of mint state 2005 V nickels. So very strange. Somebody obviously found them when they were hunting and decided to put them back into circulation. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. Let me know in the comments what you think I ought to do with 40 2005 victory commemoratives. I don't think we found anything for the album at all. Our LIghthouse Vista album we're trying to fill. We've still got some slots. There's a 54 we could have used. We didn't get anything in the 50s, so we couldn't fill some of those slots. Still some slots in the 40s that we could easily find, I think. That leaves us at 89 of 119 spots filled. Hopefully our next box is going to give us some gems and some goodies that we can fill in the album. It's a beautiful album and we'd love to fill it right up, but we're going to have to get some oldies if we want to do that. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you've watched to this point and you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I think you'll like it and I'll appreciate it. Give the video a like, a thumbs up. That always helps to grow the channel and get my videos out to a wider audience. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next time. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases.